G'day everybody. Now I want to talk about packaging again. I've talked about packaging a few times, and I want to talk about supermarket packaging and company packaging and recycling and money or the right thing to do. Right? So right now we have in packaging and changing over in packaging a lot of this. What do you reckon? Right? Maybe you can see this properly. There we go. A lot of little sachets. Now I want to give you a little point where to start from about these sachets. Now these sachets aren't very recyclable, right? As far as I know, does it have a pod you see on the back there? They're not recycled. They can't be really reused, most of the product. The thinner they go like this, the harder it is to recycle plastic, as far as I know. As I used to clean a place, Sigmund, what is it called? Sigmund Recycling here, where they do plastic bottles and stuff like that. I had to go in there and clean it up. And they have a little lab there, and I ask questions about how it all ran when I'm in places, right? And so when it comes to recycling plastic, the thinner and certain plastics can't be recycled. And the thinner, the worse it is because it just burns away, right? And it doesn't melt down as good. And so when it comes to recycling stuff, most of it doesn't last that long. We've got recycling things now. They're not that strong as the old stuff. They don't last as long, and we're getting there, right? But while we're getting there with recycling stuff, is it wise to still use plastic if you don't need to, right? That's what we're saying. That's what governments are putting out, right? But what are we seeing when we say these type of things? It's like we need smaller vehicles, less vehicles, but yet we see bigger vehicles getting made. People all want SUVs, more tyres, more steel, more vehicle, right? Which needs to be more fuel to pull such a bigger vehicle and so on. And we're meant to be getting better at and fixing things, and yet we see in a lot of areas they're actually getting worse. A little bit like the prices are down, and staying down. Besides staying down, you will see in a lot of things, if you looked around, which was what I remember talking about in the down thing, is that went down, but they passed $1 and this price over here went up. If you're a shopper, you would notice, well, yeah, that one went down a couple of dollars, but over here, this product went up a couple of bucks. And you can look at it and go, well, you could say that product wanted more money, but did the supermarkets just pass one price to the other, put out propaganda, what we're all good at, and say prices are down, right? And make you believe and sing a song down, and have it in your head, we'll go over there because it's down. And really it's past $1 and we might actually be making more money on you and make it sound like you're getting cheaper. It's propaganda, right? If it was working like that. But anyway, back to this. So far as I'm concerned, we're at a place where we recycle, right? Everything's recyclable. They could be doing this for cost, right? To make it a cheaper cost for you or to make more profit for the company. We can change this and we don't have to change the price and we'll make more money, right? Or we can change the price down, we can change something and put it onto the customers to sell it better, right? As in making something cheaper. It all depends on how they're doing things. But when it comes to recycling, for real, and get a country to do that for real, it needs to be a government thing, and the government needs to be on to definitely big companies that make a lot of rubbish, right, on how we recycle there. They've given us ads on how to recycle through our recycling bin and stuff like that, but the government needs to get on more than just us. And we all know about the ad, and that's good enough, and they could save money there now and stop that ad and get on to the companies and put some ads out maybe so we can even talk to the companies as we see in the ads. The people will see the ads and then they'll go to the company and go, why aren't you changing anything? You might not be seeing it, but I'm about to tell you now. Right? We do our part. Why aren't you doing your part here? Right? Otherwise, what's the point doing it over here if you're not doing it over there? Right? And we've got to set an example. We've got to do it decently so we can show the point over there without looking like a hypocrite with the prices are down kind of thing. Right? So when it comes to packaging, baby food used to come in little jars like this. Now I want to talk about little jars. That white powder is not cocaine or anything, as far as I know. I don't have a tester, but I got that from the front door of, see everything? I think it's from out of the soap from the front, but when I started seeing it, it was salt. It's salt coming out. There was one time I put a bit of salt outside and ages ago. And it's been appearing ever since, really. But odd, but it appears sometimes. So I've looked up what it could be and stuff like that. So that's that powder. So get off that subject anyway. And that's on a whole new clip. But you know what I thought with that? Oh, with all the shit that go around, if you like the shit stir, you get some of this powder shit and you put it in your car. And I bet you just left it there in the car like that. A copper will say, hey, what's that? Conversation piece. What do you reckon? Maybe get them onto their job. Maybe if everyone kept doing things like that, they might put an ad out and ask you to stop doing it because it makes their job harder. Right? But it depends on what point you might be proven when it comes to certain things. But anyway, and where you should play jokes and where you shouldn't. But I believe, see, the baby food's now going from these type of jars with a screw on lid, right, to these now. Right? And I had an opinion of someone saying, well, it might be easier for the mother to put it out from the jar into the bowl for them, trying to get a positive side out of the changes besides the cost rate, right? And the recycling rate. So this pretty much can't be recycled, hard to recycle. And this, very easy. Okay, very easy. Now, yes, this is stronger. I'm banging around. It's not going to cause anything. Products be easy to package and deliver, right? So you look at the upsides of it. I get all that. Right? But this, you can put in plastic into glass too. So make it stronger. Change the design of glass a little bit so it can still be recycled. Maybe the plastic will just burn away. Have a plastic that's not bad for the environment, right? As they put plastic into glass in front windscreens of vehicles from the old days. Because the old days, it used to just be glass. And broken glass would come in at you everywhere. And you might get cut up and stuff like that. And then they made safety glass where if it breaks, it rounds off, right, instead of shards. That's why I got some cuts on my finger, actually, from some shards of glass. If you put plastic into it, it holds together so you can get bottles that crack but won't leak. You might even be able to get a scientist to design such a design so products can at least be on a discount as a damaged good if someone's too worried about something and not be wasted. Where you can have a plastic inner liner maybe on some of these. So if they crack, no glass gets in. So they test it to find out. The meals have no little bits of shard in it and do a test on it. I'm sure that could be a design. Anyway, I'm blabbing on about designs and stuff like that. But I want to get back to the recycling part. Right, so hang on, we're back to the feeding. So if you push this out and you're feeding, you can feed your kid easier and stuff like that by putting it into the bowl. Right, nice and quick. And trying to scrape it out of the jar. That's what someone was trying to say to me, right, about the benefit of this. But the benefit of the jar, as soon as they told me that, I'm saying, well, with the jar, you don't even have to, right? You can do it with this too, but it's harder to try to feed them out of this and scrape that. It's harder than the jar. And you can feed them out of the jar and save the bowl altogether, unless they're feeding themselves, of course, put it in the bowl. But if you're not, in a lot of baby cases, you can feed them out of the jar, and that saves on the dishes and washing up and resources of cleaning, right? And that usually... when it comes to water, and that usually takes just as much water, if not more, to clean a product than to make a product. Right? So it's resources. And anyway, so what would you rather have? Would you rather have the packaging, not recyclable, ends up causing bad problems for the uppers? So you think of the uppers. So they always say when you want to pick something, you want to know if it's worth something, how many good things and how many bad things is there on the products. That's what all tests should have, and the government should have that main thing, right, when they get products and sell products to their people, because it helps in all areas if you can get that right, picking and choosing the right things. It's like picking and choosing the best weapons when you go to war and stuff like that. If you pick and choose the right ones, you will find you can do better than the ones that waste resources on other choices. Then the glass, where the glass can always be recycled, gives people a job too, gives more money spread out as we able to recycle, right? And two sections, because we'll always need the old section of bringing up and the new section, right? So it supports both areas. And it allows other people to get some money back as well. So the company will charge you like they should always, but not make profit on packaging. They should be making profit. And that's what governments can look at is how do they make their profit. Are they companies like, some people do that. Go, oh, I've got the jar, if I can get a fancier jar, it might cost me 20 cents, but it looks so fancy that it could be worth 40, and we'll charge 40 cents from having that jar. So it's an extra 20 cents profit for them because they picked a certain way to package it, right? So you can do that. I see the point if you wanted to, and people will do, right? And you can get a good cheap deal. But I prefer when it comes to packaging that you shouldn't really try to make profit of packaging and try to make it as cheap as possible and similar to everything else, so we can all recycle the same way and keep on trucking with the recycle part, right? Then to go with the profit, money making, quick way and stuff like that, but have a waste. It's a little bit like the nuclear thing, isn't it? You can get nuclear power. It's good now. We have this waste put away later, right? So as long as it's put away, it's all good. But we still got to deal with it, right? And it's the same when it comes to waste and how long it takes to break down and why we got it. And we're better off having the extra, if it's 20 cents onto the product, and be not so greedy. Be not so greedy allows us to have better products, doesn't it? Because we're allowed to use different things, right? But anyway, besides all that, it could even be a plastic one day, a plastic container, right? If they want to head that way, besides glass, right? They can go to plastic containers that are just as strong and can be used. And another good thing about these is that besides recycling it, people can use it in other things, fill that with paint, save, actually going to buy a jar. Otherwise, people have to buy jars. That's what I was talking about before. I like to use little skinny jars, and now the baby ones are starting to change over. It's hard to find little jars now, and so you'll have to buy them yourself. So they'll still make them, but you'd have to buy them for certain products, and so that's another downside for certain people. And jars can always be used in a standard good life of recycling. Not all of them, you don't need all of them, but they do come in handy in a lot when you get your life right. And for old people, why do they make up a lot of things themselves? Is because it's better and it helps us learn and connect, as well as families. And every now and then it's a good thing if families can have a day where they make things together to eat, right? I think that's fun. And you go, look, we're going to make plum sauces, or we're going to make our own tomato sauce that's going to last us the year, right? As a family connection thing. And next time we have that day, we'll decide to make something else. You can all think about it. You know, it's like going out, going to do something, but you do something together. And families should bring that back. I reckon some things we've lost over time, which were a good thing. But anyway, you let me know your opinion when it comes to all these. Now I want to quickly chuck in the cans. Now when it comes to these cans, tin, it can be recycled, but it's cheap. They don't have it recycled like plastic and glass and that. And for people to recycle best, they would like to get an outcome out of it, right? And perhaps charging a little bit more, so when they recycle, they can get a little bit more back. If you want to use that propaganda of making it feel like they're getting more money back and making it more worth to them. And it's also another way of forcing them to recycle, which is a little bit like the 10-cent thing now. So if you add the extra cost onto it and they can get it back later, that'll help them recycle, right? And so when it comes to tin, there's no way of recycling. You just take that to the recycling place yourself in a big bulk, massive bulk. You can't just take a few. It won't matter, right? And so you've got to load up a trailer, and that's a big issue. So most people throw that out, and then that gets sorted by a place like Sigmund, right, that will recycle it for us, right? But if you wanted to head the other way, it'll allow people to recycle it more better with the pricing, wouldn't it, than to throw it out, because not everyone recycles best by putting it in the recycling bin. If they get nothing out of it, they may just throw it away, right? And you get a lot of these cans at campsites and stuff like that. But if you wanted to stop that incident from happening, that's when you do the same thing they did with the plastic bottles and that, and you put a price on these, and it'll make people want to go take it in themselves, right? And if they don't, and they're lazy enough and got money, well, that's an area that they can afford to put back into the economy. So the government will make an extra 10 cents, and you'll still have the rubbish around like you would if you didn't have that scheme, you see. But anyway, and the people who can't afford it will help you out, and even clean up the ones that can. Have a good one, everybody, and see you later.